Hello and welcome back to the Dino Dude Rocket channel. Thank you for joining me. In the second half of 2019, Samsung released one of the most important phones of this decade. And it was this one, right here, the Samsung Galaxy Fold 5G. It revolutionized what a smartphone could and couldn't be. And the folding aspect of this Android device was something that we hadn't seen before. Well, the nerds among you will be saying, but in fact we did see it before. Shortly prior to Samsung releasing the Galaxy Fold, a company called Royale released their FlexPi, and you would be right. But did you know there was actually a folding Android smartphone that came out a long time before both the Galaxy Fold and the Royale FlexPi? In fact, it was released in February of 2016. Now, unlike the Royale and the Samsung, it didn't fold in the same way they did. No, this one had something a little bit different going on. Let's look at what that was. The VK World T2 logically sounds like it would have been a successor to the VK World T1, but there was no VK World T1 when this device came out. In fact, the VK World T1 was a completely different smartphone, and it was released about 6 months later. This particular device I've had for about 3 years. I know it's practically unheard of for cheap Chinese smartphones to break pretty easily, but this one somehow has. The outside screen here is just done, unfortunately. There is no damage whatsoever to the screen. I can run my finger across it. There's absolutely no cracks, no dings or bangs. I didn't damage it once. The fact that this outside screen is damaged does unfortunately take away a little bit from the aesthetic. However, without access to this outside touchscreen, there isn't too much to worry about, because the true party piece of this device is the interior Android screen that it boasts. It may have been one of the first ever Android devices to have two screens, and as far as I know, it was one of the first to have an interior screen. Let's fold. This device has a full-on Android interior screen. Right now, it's asking me to choose which launcher I want to use. I've got two to show you. This is the main home screen, accessible by touchscreen on the outer display, but on the inside, no touchscreen. So instead you use these physical buttons here. We can navigate around the home screen just fine using these direction keys. We can open up our apps menu just like this, and look, we've got access to our clock, our gallery, our music library, sound recorder, Google Drive, everything, any Android app that you want. Now I've got two launchers on here to show you. This is the standard one, the standard VK World one. It looks quite cool. The design is a bit weird and the color scheme is a bit bizarre, but I do like it. However, if I do this, we can then have a look at what the Pixel launcher looks like. And there we go. See, standard, completely standard. It is full Android, despite the fact that the screen isn't touch and you have to use the keys. You can view basically anything you want on here. I could open up YouTube and watch it. I could, do anything you can do on a normal Android device. And then when you're done, you simply fold it up like that. The T2 came with the option of either 2 GB of RAM and 16 gigs of storage, or 3 GB of RAM and 32 gigs of storage. 32.3 is the version I have here, and to be honest, I can't imagine how anyone could have got by on the 2 GB version. This device is not powerful, not in the slightest. It's sluggish and it's convoluted to use. The tiny outer display is only 4.2 inches, and honestly, maybe that would have been fine back in 2016, but now, look at the difference. You could fit about 2.5 of these inside the footprint of the Galaxy Fold screen. I know that's a large phone to use as an example, but you get my point. We are used to bigger stuff now, and this older thing, while it looks cool, I just don't think it would be really very useful anymore. The Galaxy Fold is brilliant when it comes to multitasking, watching videos, or blowing up your pictures so you can zoom in, have a better look. When you're taking photographs, for example, that wider viewfinder is electric. With the VK World T2, I really don't understand what the point was. Maybe VK World themselves knew that the outside screen was going to break very easily, so they thoughtfully included an interior one for when that eventuality did occur. Honestly though, I cannot think of a single practical use for this device. It's cool, hell yeah, and to do this, the most satisfying thing ever. And then flick it open with one hand, it's amazing. And the fact that we were doing this long before the Motorola Razr relaunched with the 5G version is cool. I mean, when you think about it, 2016, the beginning of 2016, that's 5 years ago, we had a fully functional folding dual screen Android device on the market. It is mind-boggling that that sort of thing was going on, and it's also mind-boggling that it never took off. In fact, I bet a lot of people watching this have never seen this device before now. Making phone calls with it was a lot of fun. So you could chat like this, which felt awesome. It really did. And I remember this because I used this phone for about 6 months. You could just talk, have a great time, and then when you're done, the satisfying... VK World seemed to understand what they were on about with this device as well, because when you open and close the phone, it releases a small text tone, which just helps with the feel. Listen to this. Don't know if you can hear that. When I open it, listen to this. Hear that? You hear that? Very subtle, but very nice. The battery life on this device really lets it down, to be honest. It's running Android 5 and it has a very outdated MediaTek MT6737 chip. With only 2000 milliamp hours of onboard battery, it never lasted a full day for me, not with heavy use. If you were to simply whip it out, make a few phone calls, do a couple of Google searches and watch a YouTube video, you'd probably be okay, but if you wanted to use it for anything more substantial, it just wasn't good enough. In fact, this device was so poor when it came to battery life that I would always carry around either a backup phone or a power bank with me when I took it out. This brings me to charging, because the device charges really slowly. It has a port here on the side where you would input your micro USB charging cable, and it would then take quite a while to charge up, and I never understood why. It's only a 2000 milliamp hour battery, but the charging speed was just so slow. I've had this device open now for maybe 5 minutes and we're at 97%. I haven't really done anything. This is just running the screen. This thing would be dead within a few hours of heavy use, I can guarantee it. Interestingly, the stat websites I looked at listed the VK World T2 as not taking expandable storage, but that's not true. It actually does take it. Takes it right here. It's a micro SD card slot. Next to it, you can see the dual SIM card slots, and below them is the removable 2000 milliamp hour battery. The most amount of storage you could get with this device was 32 gigabytes, and even with that, about 7 gig was already taken up by the time you unboxed the thing. Because of this, I couldn't even fit my music collection on here. I've got over 5,000 songs in that collection and it wouldn't be able to fit on this device. Regardless though, even if I wanted to fit my music collection on this device, there wouldn't really be a point because it doesn't have a headphone jack. It is thick enough for one. Along here, it could handle one. It would be a bit snug, but it would be possible. However, the device just doesn't have one. So trying to use this device right now is an absolute pain in the ass because it needs me to do all this Google stuff so that I can show you what the speakers sound like, but Google Chrome is not compatible with the little keyboard. So what I'm having to do is keep flipping it over, pressing where I think it is on this screen, because this screen does work, and then hoping that I've pressed the right place. Come on, take me down. Take me down the page. Damn you. I just can't get it to work, honestly. There we go, we're nearly there. Now I just need to successfully press I agree. Didn't get it right, let's try it again. I agree. Nope. I agree. I agree? I agree, god damn it. There we go. We're in, okay. Now I just want to play a song. I got it in the middle of the screen, I'm pressing play. I'm tapping on the song. And it still won't let me because there's a problem with my account. This device is borderline unusable in 2021. Even if the screen wasn't broken, I don't think it would be worth the effort to get signed in. I just can't find a way to play you any music because I don't have any audio files on the device, and it won't let me play any from Google or anywhere because I'm not signed in. And if I think that going into this device and putting my email address and long complicated password in on a screen where I can't even see what I'm pressing is a good use of time, then I think I'd need to throw myself out of a window. Just trust me, it sounds absolutely terrible. The device has two cameras. It has this, which is an 8 megapixel sensor with a flash. And then up here, we have a selfie shooter. This is a 5 megapixel selfie shooter with no flash. None of the pictures on this device are remotely interesting, and none of them look any good, not even by the 2016 standards it was competing with. But on the plus side, I was able to pick this phone up for about 150 quid back in 2016. It was on sale, if I remember rightly, and I think I got it from Banggood, where it is no longer listed. The only place I can find this device listed is wish.com, and it's about 350 quid. I don't understand that, not at all. Maybe it's just some old surplus they've got left behind. This device does have some positive aspects though, and it wouldn't be fair to not include them. So number one, the aesthetic. This thing looks good. I genuinely love the way this device looks. Number two, how it feels to hold. I can easily one-hand this thing. I mean, all the battery and important stuff is down here in the thicker bottom section. All that's up here are the screens, and so it's light, so it sits well in the hand, and it balances very well, as you can see, like this. This device also did something else very special though. It rekindled the feeling of opening up your phone, putting it to your ear, having a chat like this, and then when you're done, folding it away again. That was something that people like myself, who had spent the majority of their life in the smartphone age, hadn't experienced since we were very, very young. Some people my age may have never experienced it at all. Whilst I commend VK World for thinking outside of the box and producing something that was unique at the time and still is unique now, there were just so many sacrifices the company made in order to give us the ability to do this. Number one, battery life. It's terrible. We're down 10% and all I've done is sit here and talk to you for about 10 minutes. The build quality as well is just pretty bad. Honestly, it feels nice in the hand. It's well balanced and everything, but the fact that it's broken, despite again taking no physical damage, doesn't look very good for VK World. I feel bad for VK World, honestly, because what they did was try out a unique form factor in a unique way, something that hadn't been done by anyone apart from a few Samsung prototypes at the time. It was an interesting choice to make, and to actually deliver this product to market was ballsy. Although they didn't sell very well, the device didn't really go anywhere, it didn't make any waves, and at the time it was hard to even find content online about it to help me decide whether I should buy it or not. In the end, I bit the bullet, and I don't regret it, because this, I think, is another important piece of smartphone history. This little Chinese company producing something that was several years ahead of its time, knowing folding phones are fun and people are going to enjoy them, and going out of the way to make something that embraced that before the technology was even remotely ready. When Samsung finally released the Fold in 2019, the argument can be made that the technology wasn't ready. In fact, it's now 2021, and with the release of the Galaxy Fold 3, I think we could be saying that technology is only now at the point where we would consider it properly ready. And so for something that was released nearly 6 years ago, February of 2016, I think they did all right. And if this device still worked properly, I'd put my SIM in it for a week. Only a week though, because this thing has too many sacrifices to ever work as a full-time device. I really hope you enjoyed this video and this brief look into this relic from the history of smartphones. It was an interesting design, and honestly, kit like this fascinates me today, seeing manufacturers go in directions that never got capitalized upon, at least not in the time period they were doing it. It leaves you with something like this, an outstanding idea, just executed in a very prototype style way. I want to take more time to look at devices like this, and I have a couple of other ones I'd like to do a video on. I think they'll all be very interesting to you, and if you do want to see that, please hit the like button down below and subscribe to this channel. I really hope you do, and I hope you enjoy the videos I've got coming. I got some comedy stuff coming, maybe some more documentary style stuff, and more tech videos as well. Please do subscribe if you'd like to see more, but until then, this has been Louis, I'm Dynadude Rocket, and this has been the VK World T2 Plus. Well, now I have to ask myself a very important question. Would I recommend the VK World T2 Plus? Yes or no? After careful consideration, the answer I think is obvious. No, I would not recommend the VK World T2 Plus. What do you think? Yeah, they're saying hello to you, pal. We're done.